7 phrases that make people lose respect for you. The psychology of language that quietly lowers your status. Respect is rarely lost in one dramatic moment. More often, it leaks away through language. A sentence that apologizes before making a reasonable request. A disclaimer that tells everyone not to expect much. A nervous laugh that turns a boundary into a suggestion. None of these habits means you are weak. In many cases, they began as attempts to be considerate, humble, or easy to work with. But language does more than carry information. It teaches people how much weight to place on the person speaking. The goal is not to remove kindness from your voice. It is not to sound cold, dominant, or artificially certain. It is to stop using phrases that erase your position before anyone else has the chance to consider it. In this episode, we will examine 7 phrases that quietly reduce your authority, why people use them, and what to say instead. These are not magic words. Replacing a sentence will not transform every relationship overnight. But repeated language becomes reputation. And when your words consistently communicate clarity, self-respect, and precise thinking, people begin responding differently. Chapter 1. The hidden negotiation inside a sentence. Every professional sentence operates on 2 levels. The first level is the content. You are asking for a document, explaining a delay, disagreeing with a proposal, or offering an idea. The second level is relational. It tells the listener who has permission to make the request, whose judgment is trusted, how firmly a boundary should be taken, and whether the speaker expects to be heard. Consider a simple request. Could you send the report by 3? The content is clear. The deadline is 3. Now consider this version. I'm so sorry to bother you, and I know you're incredibly busy, but if it isn't too much trouble, could you possibly send the report by 3? The content has not changed. The relationship has. The second speaker has presented an ordinary request as an unreasonable intrusion. They have framed the other person's time as valuable and their own need as embarrassing. That framing may feel polite, but repeated constantly, it establishes a hierarchy. People begin to sense that your needs are negotiable before the negotiation begins. Strong communication does not remove courtesy. It places courtesy around a clear message instead of using courtesy to dissolve the message. Please send the report by 3. Let me know by noon, if anything will prevent that. This version is respectful. It also creates a standard, an exception, and a time for communicating the exception. The language we are about to examine often appears harmless because any single use is harmless. Everyone apologizes unnecessarily sometimes. Everyone uses a filler phrase while thinking. Everyone softens a difficult message. The problem is not one sentence. The problem is the pattern the sentence creates. Phrase 1. Sorry to bother you. There are moments when an apology is necessary. If you made a mistake, missed a commitment, caused harm, or created unnecessary work, a direct apology demonstrates responsibility. I gave you the wrong deadline. I'm sorry. Here is the corrected schedule. That apology strengthens trust because it names a real error and moves toward repair. But sorry to bother you is often used when no wrong has occurred. You ask a colleague a relevant question. You remind someone about an overdue task. You contribute to a conversation you were invited to join. You request information required to do your job. And before saying any of it, you apologize for taking up space. The phrase seems small, but it frames your presence as a burden. It also gives the listener a subtle instruction. This interaction is more important to the speaker than it is to you. Replace the unnecessary apology with appreciation or purpose. Instead of, "Sorry to bother you. Do you have the revised numbers?" Say, "Do you have the revised numbers?" Or, "Thanks for checking the revised numbers. I need them by 2. Instead of, "Sorry to bother everyone, but I have a question." Ask the question. If you are genuinely interrupting, acknowledge the timing without apologizing for the substance. "Is this a good time for a 2-minute question?" That phrase respects the person's attention while preserving the legitimacy of your need. The difference is important. An apology says your presence is wrong. A timing question says attention must be coordinated. You are not removing politeness. You are removing self-erasure. Phrase 2. This may be a stupid question. When someone says, "This may be a stupid question," they are usually trying to protect themselves. If the question is well received, they can move forward. If the question is dismissed, they can pretend they expected it. The disclaimer is emotional armor, but it does not protect your credibility. It asks the room to inspect your intelligence before hearing the question. It changes the listener's task. Instead of considering the issue, they are now deciding whether the question is stupid. And because people are influenced by framing, some will interpret an ordinary question more negatively simply because you labeled it first. Ask the question cleanly. What assumption are we using for customer growth? Who owns the final approval? What happens if the vendor misses the deadline? If the question challenges something basic, explain its function. I want to test the central assumption. Why are we expecting demand to increase in the 3rd quarter? If you need clarification, I want to make sure I understand the sequence. Does legal review happen before or after the pilot? These openings communicate thoughtfulness rather than insecurity. There is another reason to remove the phrase. The questions people are most afraid to ask are often the questions several others have. A room can contain 10 confused people, each assuming everyone else understands. One person finally asks for clarification, and the entire discussion improves. Do not make that contribution smaller by insulting it before it arrives. Curiosity is not incompetence. Precise questions are a form of leadership because they reveal what the group has not yet made clear. Phrase 3. I'm probably wrong, but intelligent people understand uncertainty. They know their information may be incomplete. They recognize that another person may see something they missed. That intellectual humility is valuable. But I'm probably wrong is not precise uncertainty. It is a global judgment about the speaker. It does not identify what is unknown, which assumption is fragile, or what evidence might change the conclusion. It simply lowers the expected value of everything that follows. The room hears your idea through a frame of likely failure. Replace vague self-doubt with specific uncertainty. Instead of, I'm probably wrong, but I think the launch date is too early. Say, based on the current testing schedule, the launch date is too early. If information is incomplete, I haven't seen the final testing report, but the current failure rate suggests we need another week. If you are offering a hypothesis, one possibility is that the price change reduced conversions. If your confidence is moderate, the evidence points toward a pricing problem, although we need another week of data to confirm it. Notice what these versions do. They place uncertainty where it belongs. The missing report, the untested hypothesis, the limited data. You are not pretending to know more than you know. You are showing the listener exactly how much confidence the evidence deserves. Precise uncertainty builds credibility because it demonstrates judgment. Vague self-doubt asks other people to supply that judgment for you. Phrase 4. I just wanted to. The word just often enters a sentence to make it feel smaller. I just wanted to check. I just wanted to add something. I just wanted to ask if you made a decision. Sometimes just refers to time or simplicity and causes no problem. The meeting just ended. We need just one signature. But when it minimizes your purpose, it can make a legitimate action sound tentative. Compare, I just wanted to follow up on the proposal, with, I'm following up on the proposal, are you ready to approve it? The second version has movement. It tells the listener why the message exists and what response is required. Compare, I just wanted to add that the customer mentioned a security issue, with, the customer also identified a security issue. The first sentence centers your anxiety about entering the conversation. The second centers information the group needs. Remove just and replace wanted to with the action itself. I'm checking the status. I recommend delaying the decision. I need clarification on the budget. I disagree with that conclusion. This does not mean every sentence should become a command. It means your purpose should arrive without being wrapped in a story about whether you are allowed to have it. Direct language saves time. It also communicates that you expect your contribution to be evaluated on its substance. Phrase 5. Does that make sense? This phrase is complicated because it can be useful. A good communicator checks whether the listener understands. The problem appears when "does that make sense" becomes a nervous habit after every statement. You explain an idea. Then, before the listener responds, you question the quality of your own explanation. Does that make sense? You offer another point. Does that make sense? The phrase begins to sound less like care for the listener and more like a request for reassurance. It may also place the listener in an awkward position. Saying no can feel like admitting they failed to understand. Use a question that produces useful information. What questions do you have? Which part should I clarify? How does that compare with what you are seeing? Is there anything in the timeline you want me to explain? These questions open the conversation without automatically placing doubt on your explanation. If you are checking agreement rather than understanding, ask directly, do you agree with the recommendation? Are you comfortable with that approach? What concerns do you see? Agreement and understanding are not the same thing. A person may understand you perfectly and still disagree. Precise questions help you discover which issue is present. You can also finish the explanation and pause. Silence gives the listener room to ask a real question instead of responding to your need for immediate reassurance. Phrase 6. Whatever you think is best. Flexibility is valuable. Teams cannot function if every person insists on controlling every detail. But whatever you think is best is sometimes used to escape the discomfort of having a position. Perhaps you were asked for your recommendation. Perhaps two options carry different risks. Perhaps you know what outcome you prefer, but are afraid of being responsible if it fails. So you hand the decision back. Used repeatedly, this teaches people not to seek your judgment. They begin to experience you as cooperative, but non-essential. You can remain flexible while still contributing a point of view. I recommend option A because it protects the deadline, but I can support either approach. My preference is Tuesday. Wednesday also works if the client needs more time. The lower-cost option creates more maintenance risk. If we accept that risk, I'm comfortable moving forward. These responses do three things. They make your judgment visible. They explain the reasoning. They leave room for the group to decide. There are occasions when another person truly should decide. Say why. You have the most information about the customer relationship, so I'll defer to your judgment. That is not passive. It is a deliberate allocation of authority. The respect-lowering version communicates, "My view does not matter." The stronger version communicates, "I know whose judgment is most relevant here." Phrase 7. It's fine. Sometimes things are fine. The coffee order is wrong, but you do not care. The meeting moves by 15 minutes, and your schedule can absorb it. No boundary is required. But "it's fine" becomes damaging when it is used to hide a problem you expect the other person to somehow recognize. Someone misses a deadline that creates extra work for you. It's fine. A colleague takes credit for your contribution. It's fine. A friend repeatedly cancels at the last moment. It's fine. The words communicate acceptance, while your behavior, expression, or resentment communicates the opposite. This creates confusion. It also delays the boundary until your frustration is much stronger. Say what is true at the appropriate scale. I can adjust this time, but I need more notice in the future. The delay creates a problem for tomorrow's delivery. What can you complete by 5? I want to clarify that the recommendation came from the analysis I presented on Monday. I'm disappointed the plan changed at the last minute. These statements do not attack the other person. They make the impact visible. If you need time before responding, I need to think about that. If the issue is small but real, it's manageable, but not ideal. If you are choosing to let something go, I'm okay moving forward. That is different from automatically saying it's fine, because conflict feels dangerous. A clear boundary at a low level prevents an emotional explosion at a high level. Respect often grows when people know where they stand with you. Chapter 9. Why people use weakening language. It is easy to hear these phrases and conclude that people should simply stop using them. But habits survive because they serve a purpose. Unnecessary apologies may have helped you remain safe around an unpredictable authority figure. Self-deprecation may have prevented peers from seeing you as threatening. Whatever you think is best may have protected you from blame in an environment where mistakes were punished. It's fine may have helped you avoid conflict in a relationship where directness was not welcomed. The language is not evidence of a defective personality. It is often an adaptation. The question is whether that adaptation still serves you. A behavior that protected you in one environment may reduce your influence in another. This is why changing speech can feel emotionally uncomfortable even when the new sentence is reasonable. I need the report by 3 may feel rude if you are accustomed to apologizing for every request. I disagree may feel dangerous if disagreement once carried a social cost. The discomfort does not automatically mean the sentence is wrong. It may mean the sentence is new. Practice in low-stakes situations. Remove one unnecessary apology from an email. Ask one question without insulting it first. State one preference when you would normally defer. You are teaching your nervous system that clarity is not aggression. Chapter 10. Kindness without self-erasure. Some communication advice replaces insecurity with performance. It tells you to dominate, never apologize, never admit uncertainty, and treat every conversation as a contest for status. That approach creates a different problem. People may obey a forceful speaker without trusting them. Real authority includes the ability to apologize accurately, change your mind, ask for help, and acknowledge another person's expertise. The key is precision. Apologize for an error, not for existing. Acknowledge uncertainty in the evidence, not through a global attack on your intelligence. Ask whether the listener needs clarification, not whether you deserve reassurance. Defer when another person's judgment is more relevant, not because you are afraid to have a view. Set boundaries around real impact, not to control every inconvenience. Kindness and self-respect are not opposites. The strongest professional language often contains both. I appreciate the work you put into this. I still disagree with the recommendation. I understand why the deadline matters. The current schedule is not realistic. I made the wrong call. I'm correcting it today. I want to help, but I cannot take this on before Friday. Each sentence respects the relationship without abandoning the speaker's position. Chapter 11. The 7-Day Language Reset. You do not need to monitor every word you say. Trying to eliminate every filler phrase at once will make you self-conscious and unnatural. Choose one habit each day. On day 1, notice unnecessary apologies. Do not judge them. Count them. On day 2, ask questions without disclaimers. On day 3, replace vague self-doubt with a precise statement about what you know and what remains uncertain. On day 4, remove "just wanted to" from one message. On day 5, replace "does that make sense" with a specific invitation for questions. On day 6, state a preference before offering flexibility. On day 7, replace "it's fine" with one honest, proportionate response. At the end of the week, notice which change felt most uncomfortable. That discomfort may point toward the habit doing the most emotional work. Keep practicing that one. The objective is not perfect speech. It is alignment. Your words should reflect what you actually know, need, recommend, and accept. Conclusion. Language becomes reputation. The 7 phrases are: sorry to bother you. This may be a stupid question. I'm probably wrong, but I just wanted to. Does that make sense? Whatever you think is best. And it's fine. None of these phrases destroys respect on its own. Context matters. Tone matters. Relationships matter. But repeated language creates a pattern, and the pattern tells people how to interpret your presence. You do not need to sound larger than you are. You do not need to manufacture certainty. You do not need to become cold. State the purpose. Place uncertainty precisely. Ask the real question. Offer your judgment. Name the impact. And let kindness support the message instead of replacing it. The most respected person in the room is not always the loudest or the most polished. Often, it is the person whose words reliably match reality. This has been Signal&Status. If this episode helped you communicate with greater clarity and self-respect, follow the show and share it with someone who deserves to be heard.